And that's the summary of what happened on the night of the 7th. These shadows seem to be quite a bit more formidable than the ordinary ones.
I see. So our enemies are growing stronger as well. Well, it's not all bad news. In fact, I called today's meeting because...
Hold on. Before we go on, I'd like to ask Kirijo-senpai something.
Oh?
I know I'm not the only one thinking this. So much has been happening lately. I feel like I've just been getting dragged along without really understanding anything. But now, I want answers. So I'm gonna ask you straight out. You've been hiding something from us, haven't you, Senpai? You're always acting like you don't know anything about the Dark Hour or Tartarus. But they're connected to that accident 10 years ago, aren't they?
What accident?
Yukari-chan? There was an explosion near our school and a lot of people died. It must have been big news back then. You know about it, don't you?
Yes.
Luckily, no students were injured. But something is off here. At the time of the incident, there were several unexplained absences. Seems like more than just a coincidence to me.
What do you mean?
Well, I dug up some old school records and found something interesting. Those students weren't just absent. They all suddenly collapsed and had to be sent to the hospital. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Remember those girls who bullied Fuka? They had to be hospitalized too. I want an explanation. What really happened on the day of that accident? The Kirijo group built our school, so you have to know something. Tell me the truth.
I wasn't trying to hide anything from you, it just never seemed relevant. But...
It's okay. It's not your fault.
all right, I'll tell you everything. Shadows have many mysterious abilities. Some research indicates they can even affect time and space. We think of them as our enemies, but what if we could somehow use them to our advantage? They could be a source of unimaginable power, couldn't they?
What?
14 years ago, one man pursued that very line of thinking. He was the former leader of the Kirijo group, Koetsu Kirijo, my grandfather. My grandfather was obsessed with the shadows. He wanted to harness their power to create something extraordinary.
Create something extraordinary?
To that end, he assembled a research team and had them amass a number of shadows.
He was collecting them? Damn, that's freaking crazy.
But 10 years ago, during the final stages of the project, there was an accident, and the experiment failed. They lost control of the Shadow's power, altering the nature of the entire world.
You can't mean...
Yes. Tartarus and the Dark Hour. According to the records, the accumulated mass of shadows split into several large ones that later dispersed. These are the shadows we've been encountering on nights when the moon is full.
Maybe that's why it's difficult to predict where they'll appear. Wait a minute. If what you said is true, then why did our school turn into Tartarus? Don't tell me. Is it because that's where they conducted the experiment?
Yes.
Then those students who were hospitalized...
It's just as you fear. It was a highly populated area, and the Kirijo group had influence there. They could essentially do as they pleased. Port Island must have been the perfect location for them. So yes, as you guessed, the experiment 10 years ago was conducted at Gekkokan High School.
Just what are you trying to say here? So that's the whole purpose behind C's? We were dragged into all this just to clean up their mess? You lied to us? too! Didn't you, Sonata-senpai? You've both just been using us! Or do you not care as long as you're the one who gets to do the fighting?
I never said anything like that. I have my reasons.
Think what you'd like, but it was my decision not to share the information. I'm sorry. It was never my intent to deceive you. Convincing you to join Seas was my highest priority. I know it may not be fair, but shadows can only be defeated by Persona users. We are the only ones who can fight.
That's hardly the point!
I never had a choice either. It didn't matter if I wanted this power or not.
Mitsuru, that's enough.
Takeba-kun, it's only those in the past who are to blame. And they lost their lives as a result of what they did. We're all in the same boat here. None of us deserve the burden that's been thrust upon us.
But that's...
It's been 10 years since the incident in question. No one knows why those shadows suddenly returned. But now that they're here, we have the chance to find and destroy them. Do you realize what that means? What if I told you that the 12 shadows are the cause of everything?
You're saying if we defeat them all, Tartarus and the Dark Hour will disappear?
Exactly. That's what I was going to tell you earlier. See? It's good news, isn't it?
Can that really be true?
There's evidence to support it, and this is where our true battle begins.
Our true battle.
Regardless of what's happened in the past, we must fight to protect the people. The shadows are gaining strength. We can't afford to wait for them to strike first.
Right.
And there are still many mysteries surrounding Tartarus. For instance, why did such a gigantic structure appear in the first place? The answers must be out there somewhere.